Here are some Get Real facts right from the headlines. Josh Salmon reports a 6,571 square foot estate on Longboat Key has become the fourth property in Southwest Florida this year to net more than $5 million when the sale closed today. John Hilscher reports average rates on fixed mortgages fell closer this week to their historic lows, making homeownership more affordable and refinancing more attractive. Real estate on the Suncoast has rebounded, and no one is more familiar with the real estate rebound than the people who work at Neal Communities, who are celebrating record-breaking sales success and selling new homes across our region. On this week's edition of Get Real Estate on the Suncoast, we'll hear all about what's new and coming up with one of Florida's biggest builders. Get Real Estate on the Suncoast starts now. Welcome to Get Real Estate on the Suncoast, the only local television show dedicated to one of the top economic drivers in our region, real estate. Each week we'll bring you timely, relevant, and interesting information about the industry, from building to buying to searching and selling, plus everything in between. It's the perfect place to get real information about real estate people and places in your neighborhood. And by the way, we will be tweeting the show live at Get Real Estate FL and taking your real estate related questions. No one knows the real estate market better than the people at one of the top privately held new home building companies in Florida. They've been building homes in Florida for nearly 40 years, and 2013 has already been record-breaking for them. Joining us now to talk about that and more are two ladies from Neal Communities, Leisa Weintraub, Vice President of Marketing and Creative Director, and Nicole Caldwell, Area Sales Manager. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Welcome. Thank you.
Glad to have you on. So Leisa, there is a lot of news coming out of Neal Communities lately, and there's a lot of things happening in the company. But first off, tell us a little bit about Neal and where you're currently building on the Suncoast.
Neal is building in over 13 communities along the Suncoast, and we recently expanded into the Fort Myers and Naples area. Opened 2 new communities down there, and we've got planned 8 more openings this year alone. So we're really busy.
Wow, it's a great thing though.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's terrific.
Actually the largest community that Neal has ever built is in Venice. It's called Grand Palm, and you just had a really fantastic grand opening of the amenity center last weekend. So tell me about that.
Our grand opening and our rec center facility down there, amenities, are just superlative. And we had such a great reception from visitors and homeowners alike.
And tell us about the amenities that are at Grand Palm.
It's a full array of amenities. It starts with the Palm House Recreation Center, Fitness Center, the resort pool. There's a slide for the young at heart, and Tiki Hut fitness pool, dog parks, tennis courts, bocce ball court, basketball court, and tons of walking trails. Oh, I forgot the splash park.
Wow, it sounds like there's something to do for really everyone.
There is.
That's great. And actually coming up in just a little bit, we'll talk to the first people to move into Grand Palm. But Nicole, we alluded to this a little bit earlier about the sales at Neal so far this year, record-breaking. So tell me a little bit about that.
It's amazing. I am lucky enough to be the sales manager for the largest home builder in the area. Last quarter, we sold 243 homes net, which exceeded our goal by 23 homes. And so far this month, we've sold over 40.
Wow.
We're actually 60% up over last year's numbers.
That's
Same
amazing.
Time. It is.
I think probably a lot of reason why Neal is so successful has to do with the lifestyle that's created in those communities, just what you're talking about at Grand Palm. Why do you think that that's become so important, lifestyle and amenities, when building new communities?
I think that what's really important to people are spending time with their family and connecting with other people. And our jobs as developers and creators of communities is to create a place that gives people those opportunities to connect with other people, whether it's at the resort with your neighbors, or at the dog park with other dog lovers, or at the playground with other families and their children. So really that's what's important to us. And when we can do that, and when I see that at Grand Palm and all of those opportunities available for people, it's really gratifying to us.
And I think it's not unusual, but I think it's definitely a benefit for homeowners who are moving in to have those amenities in place right away, isn't it?
It's really important, I think, to everybody. I think that after we went through the recession, a lot of people didn't really believe promises that were made. So at Neal, we feel it's really important that when we make a promise, we fulfill that promise. So we really like to have those amenities all in ahead of time for people to enjoy.
That's great. You know, they say in real estate those three rules: location, location, location. What is it that you think about Venice that makes Grand Palm such a great location?
Well, first of all, Venice is a fantastic community, and there's so much to do there. We did a video about all of the activities in Venice. We could hardly fit everything in. It was so much fun. And then it's centrally located on Center Road and River Road, which is very convenient to I-75. We're just a couple miles from the interchange. So it's very convenient for people that might be commuting up and down the coast or going to the airport.
Great. Nicole, I know at Neal you have hundreds of floor plans and lots of inventory, but we want to try to narrow it down for our viewers a little bit. So tell me a little bit about the homes available at Grand Palm and the top three.
I feel like we sell every home that we build at Grand Palm. It is our largest community. We have 10 models that are open 7 days a week. Wow. So to narrow it down to 3 is a little bit difficult, but I think I would have to say that it's going to be our freshwater floor plan, our tidewater floor plan, and then our windsong.
Okay, so tell us, we're showing those right now on the screen, so tell us a little bit about each plan and what is so popular about it.
In our windsong model, which is what you're showing right now, one of the things that we hear the most often about is our freshwater actually?
You know what?
That's freshwater.
Yeah, that's the freshwater.
In our freshwater.
Yeah, we're showing the windsong.
Oh, I knew it was the windsong.
Yeah, you can just talk kind of generically about these three and which ones
in
you
the
think are the
windsong, one of the things that we hear the most frequently is the open kitchen with the single level island and the open floor plan. It has a huge master bedroom and bathroom, which people really enjoy. And then that house has the opportunity to add on a cabana bath or a half bath. So it's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms with a den, a formal dining room, and then you have the ability to add on. So it's it is our largest single story plan in Grand Palm, and it is the most popular.
Wow, and they're all decorated beautifully, obviously by Pure Style, by Charlene Neal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they look great. All right, thank you so much. Well, I really appreciate you both coming on and talking about Grand Palm. Up next, we actually will be speaking to the first homeowners to move in to Grand Palm, and then we'll hear from Pat Neal, who will share his thoughts on the real estate recovery. Get Real Estate returns in just a minute. Here's a Get Real fact. Pat Neal, president of Neal Communities, gives more than just a pretty house. He's a CEO committed to the Suncoast community and is one of the area's most dedicated philanthropists. Welcome back. Joining us now are the first people to move into Neal Communities' Grand Palm in Venice, former Cape Cod, Massachusetts residents John and Kathie Porteous. They bought their home just after visiting the community for 2 days. Hi there. Thanks so much for coming on.
Hi, thank you.
So tell me first, I guess, how did you find Neal Communities from Cape Cod?
Well, we found it because we had a friend who used to live on Cape Cod and moved to Tucson and then moved to Lakewood Ranch and was having a house built last summer. And we spent the summer with him up on Cape Cod and listened to him talk about how happy he was about the building experience. And we looked at the houses and we looked online and did our research and said, yeah, we think we need to go with Neal Communities.
Wow. Now there's a lot of places that Neal builds, so why did you pick Venice?
Again, a dear friend said, she winters in Venice, and she said you would love Venice. It is like a small Cape Cod town, but there's a lot of activities.
Yeah, and you eat lunch or dinner down on Venice Avenue. You listen to the music in the gazebo. You go to the beach. Why go anywhere else? I mean, it's all there.
It's very charming and quaint.
It is. It's
very what we needed.
Yeah.
That's great. So you're unpacked mostly, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, 98%, we're all set.
So what was the whole experience building with Neal like?
We felt it was very positive.
Yeah.
You know, building is building. There's all those decisions and seeing how things look real instead of on paper. But it was very, very positive. And if we had a problem or an issue or a question, it was always answered, and that's what counts.
That's great. So I don't know if you heard us talking earlier about all the amenities that you have at Grand Palm. I understand you tested out the slide.
Yes, we have.
What do you think about all the grand opening festivities last weekend and the new amenity center?
It was very nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Everything is beautiful, and it was beautiful on, like I said, on paper. But when we really saw it come together and saw the plantings and the furniture and the buildings, it's breathtaking. It's just a place to live. We're very happy there. Yeah. And we have wonderful neighbors.
Yeah, you said everyone's nice there.
Everybody is nice.
They don't let any mean people buy homes
No mean people are coming in.
Everybody's excited about being there. We're all at the same level of excitement. It's really a great experience.
That's great.
We're loving life in Florida.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience. We really appreciate it. It sounds like you're definitely enjoying life here on the Suncoast.
Yes, we are.
We are.
All right, great. Well, coming up, actually, we're going to go to this right now. Last week, I actually had the opportunity to sit down and speak with Pat Neal, the CEO of Neal Communities, to talk about the new neighborhood and talk about what's going on and what his thoughts are with the real estate market. So take a listen. Hi everybody, we are here on site at Grand Palm in Venice, one of the largest master plan communities in the region done by Neal Communities, and joining me here is the CEO of Neal Communities, Mr. Pat Neal. Hi Pat.
Fun to be with you. It's always fun to be with you, Candice.
Thank you. And Pat is about to celebrate his 50th year in business.
Can you believe, as young as I might be, 50 years?
That's awesome.
50 years ago, Youth Power of Des Moines. Mr. Johnson, my 8th grade teacher, says, you're causing too much trouble here. You've got 2 minutes energy. Go find something useful to do. So I founded something called Youth Power of Des Moines. And by the time I was in 11th grade, I made more money than my mom, who was an English teacher.
Wow.
So,
unbelievable.
Mr. Johnson may have called me an unguided missile. Somewhere along the way, I may have learned some guidance.
I think
maybe not. I don't know.
I think you figured it out. Did you ever think, though, that about 45 years ago, when you started building homes with your dad, that fast forward you would have created such a successful building company?
Candice, my dad retired here. He was a tax lawyer. We built our first homes at Longboat Key from the $23,000 range. I'm not sure that we had a plan in 1968. We put together the plan, and really the story of the plan is an organization was created of people who really knew what they were doing. Today at Neal, we have people that we employed as long ago as 1977. Wow. And to a one, we have people who are professional and committed to our industry. They build a great product. We think we make people's lives better. When they come here from Minnesota or Michigan, we think we improve the way they live the rest of their life if they're in their retirement years. This property, Grand Palm, is different. It's an all-American community. We sell actually 7 different types of housing products, all the way from the young professional and the single all the way to people in their working years, first and second move-ups, as we call them in the trade, to the move-down, the older person with active lifestyles, and to the mature adult, and to the second home person. So it's all American. 7 different housing styles in one community, which we opened today.
Wow. And people will say about this community, but about all Neal communities, that there's a difference when you drive in, from the second you drive into the community, from the details. Tell me a little bit about the details. Why?
We have a rule. It's called the 30-second look. That means within 30 seconds of your arrival, you need to know that you're in a Neal community, which means everything needs to be straight, the signs are straight, the grass is green, it's clean, stem to stern. The design is good, the color's good, it's interesting. I think you'll see that here at Grand Palm.
And even the details I noticed is that the backs of the stop signs are painted even.
There's a Patrick and Charlene Neal and almost 200 other team members whose job it is that every detail is perfect by the time we get to the grand opening.
Wonderful. This community was the first community to be approved and built under the Sarasota 2050 plan. What does that mean, and what did you have to do in order to make that happen?
For communities that were at the edge of the urban boundary, Sarasota County created in 2001 a plan called 2050 with special standards. Among those are the ones I just spoke of. 9 different housing types, a third of the land to be preserved, special emphasis on recreation, has to be fiscally neutral, great environmental quality. This is the first, actually only, plan approved in Sarasota County under 2050. It's here, alive, growing, and on the day of the grand opening, we have 82 pre-sales, so it's a wonderful world.
Unbelievable.
It was an idea This was an idea of government, but it has worked wonderfully for us. All the different housing styles, the preserved nature, the parks that go through the woodlands, the 2 pools, 2 tennis courts, bocce, kids park, park for the big dogs and little dogs. We're going to have a lot of fun here, and I hope that people who live here have as much fun as I have in its creation.
They say those 3 golden rules of real estate are location, location, location. Why is Venice such a great location for this new community?
So what is real estate? My dad would say real estate's everything that's real. We're home builders, but we start with a great piece of real estate. This is, of course, nearly at the center of the universe, and we think that the location to work, schools, the gorgeous community of Venice, the white sand beaches, and the proximity to all the workplaces all around will make this an exceptional location. As I said, the location will make this place, as well as the things that we put here.
A big part of Neal Communities has always been philanthropy. You give to a lot of different causes here on the Suncoast. Why is that so important to you, and why is it an emphasis that you really make sure carries through your company?
Remember, we're a local builder headed by a family. Patrick Neal, Charlene Neal, a team member for 36 years, my 2 sons, our nephew, all work here. We're part of this community. In the year 2013, we'll give we'll give to 19 local charities. We have major projects, schools, churches, blood. 50. Okay.
Wow.
The correct Marianne Gergich, who runs our community giving, has told me that we have 50 community activities that will participate in the year 2013, all the way from North Manatee County to Naples, where we hope to enhance the living value in communities that we live.
Welcome back to Get Real Estate on the Suncoast. Now it's time to get real answers. Every week we'll welcome real estate attorney Casey Colburn to the show, a legal expert who has our interests in mind, and we'll be taking questions directly from our viewers as well. So we'll zero in on information we all need to know to be smart about our real estate choices. Hey Casey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great, we're glad to have you. Today we're actually going to focus on the 2050 plan. You heard Pat Neal talk about Grand Palm being the first community to be developed under the Sarasota 2050 plan, but for people who are not necessarily so familiar with it, tell us a little bit about the plan, when it started, what is it?
Well, in certain respects, they're fortunate not to know about the 2050 plan because about 10 years ago, the community Sarasota prides itself in being a forward-thinking community, and so about 10 years ago, it hired an expensive and thoughtful planning consultant to develop a very complex set of regulations that was supposed to result in development patterns in our rural areas of villages, hamlets, and settlements. And so it was supposed to be something that would reduce the impacts of suburban sprawl, which affects our infrastructure, our environment, and our tax base. So, like a lot of things in Sarasota, the past 10 years of living with the 2050 plan has shown that it wasn't perfect, and so in fact it had to be amended in order to get 2 projects approved. Grand Palm is one of them. It's the only one that's come out of the ground. Next month, the County Commission will consider whether to reopen it again for further amendment. So you're going to hear a lot more about it on SNN and other media outlets and from a lot of interest groups.
Wow, okay, very good. Well, actually now we do have some specific viewer questions about the 2050 plan. So our first one is from Sean with the Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast.
Hi Casey, it's Sean Byrne from the Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast. As you know, policymakers from the national down to the local level have all recognized the importance of conserving our environmentally sensitive lands. It not only improves our environment, but protects our quality of life. What are some of the ways in which land conservation can be a component of smart planning and smart development?
That's a great question, Sean, and both you and I know that strategic conservation is essential to smart planning and smart development. Sarasota is very good at it, but there's no group better than Sean's organization, the Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast. Some of the tools that can be used for strategic conservation are conservation easements, which are taking a few of those bundles of sticks out of that bundle. You think of property rights as a bundle of sticks. The development rights get taken out of that bundle of sticks, and they're held by a private organization like the Conservation Foundation, and they're intended to protect particularly sensitive tracts of land. They also are involved in promoting more intense development and redevelopment in the urban areas, filling those areas where there is infrastructure and taking pressure off of the more sensitive, undeveloped areas further out. And finally, what they do best, better than anybody around, is the strategic acquisition of pristine lands. And they leave those degraded areas, and some of us don't think of improved pasture land or other open spaces as degraded lands, but in the conservation sense they are. They leave those available for land use and redevelopment. So it's land trusts like the Conservation Foundation of the Gulf Coast that work with private landowners to accomplish these strategic objectives.
Wow, that's very interesting. We've got one more question, and this one is from Bill in Sarasota.
Hey Casey, it's Bill from Sarasota. So I've got a question about 2050. I know the county's in the process of refining the 2050 plan. What, in your opinion, are some of the things that could be done to make it a better plan for Sarasota County?
Bill, that's an impossible question for me to ask and have friends on all points of the compass in Sarasota.
But this is Get Real,
so
we want to get real
So
answer.
let's get real. I have been involved in the 2050 regulations since their inception. I was heavily involved at the beginning, and so I'm watching it now. And I've had some interaction with the policymakers as well as a number of the business groups and conservation groups about their ideas. And the hardest thing for me to identify is what is the objective. And so for me, I think 2050 could best be improved by identifying measurable objectives that most business owners located, most landowners and the conservation folks and the developers that might be investing in Sarasota can identify what are the boundaries. And so some of those things we've already talked about, like strategic preservation and preserving those things that are most important to our water quality, wildlife, and our cultural heritage. If we can kind of set the four corners of the understanding, then we'll be able to have a plan that is workable and people will invest in those areas, and we might even get the result that we tried to get all those 10 years ago.
Wow, interesting. There's a lot of moving parts with the 2050 plan.
That's correct. And aside from that, those broad objectives, one thing I do want to remind viewers of, and this is part of what I do as a lawyer, most business owners on the Suncoast most likely have a claim under the oil spill settlement from 2010, if you remember the BP oil spill. They can call my law firm, the ERG law firm, and find out whether they have a claim, and they can check out the show's website under the links we mentioned. Yep. To find out more. But as far as 2050, it's a stay tuned idea. This county wants its community to be very involved, so get on the Sarasota County website, check out the business groups, check out the conservation groups and all of their objectives, get educated, and get involved. It's the best thing you can do.
Wow. That's great. Well, I would definitely encourage everyone to go onto our website, and if you have questions that you want Casey to answer each week, you can make a video and you can actually send it in and we could use your question on the air. So thank you so much. We really appreciate those answers, those Get Real answers.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and good questions.
All right, sounds good. Well, this has been Get Real Estate on the Suncoast. Join in on our conversation by liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter, and visit our website at getrealestate-suncoast.com. And again, if you have a Get Real question, send us your video to getrealestateonthesuncoast@gmail.com. Check us out online, and we encourage you to even post your video to Facebook, and we might actually use your question on the air. So be sure to watch us next Thursday live at 7 p.m. From all of us here at Get Real Estate on the Suncoast, thank you so much for joining us and have a great night.